lamb's quarters. Everybody see it? It has lots of different names, dirtweed, goosefoot, but my favorite name is wild spinach because that's how I use this. I use this as a spinach substitute. And like spinach, it cooks down. Like spinach, you can eat it uncooked, you can eat it cooked. And any recipe that calls for spinach, I use this. That's the great thing about wild foods is that you can experiment and use some of these plants, these kind of so-called weird plants, in recipes for conventional foods. And oftentimes they'll taste better than the actual conventional food because the conventional food has been traveling across the country many times for thousands and thousands of miles, been sitting on shelves for a long, long time. Where something like this, oftentimes you can just walk out your door, pick it, and just use it. And that's one of the great things that I like about using wild foods is a lot of them are not exotic. They're around us, we're literally stepping on them. And so they're there for the taking. It's just you have to be willing to take them and use them. Oh, great, great. We'll talk about these in a minute. So this is a relative of quinoa, which is a South American grain that's becoming so popular with the cooks nowadays. This plant has a long season starting now. You can use the plant when it's this high, and it gets really tall. It can get to be 8 or 10 feet high, but I still use it at that point. You can grab the very fresh young leaves. That's the thing, when you're foraging, you need to know what part of the plant to use and what time to get it, because if you don't, and if you get a plant that's gone by, it's going to taste horrible, and you're going to say, well, that woman didn't know what she was talking about because she told me to eat it, but you need to know when. So this is a good time to get the young shoots. In fact, when they're really small, I use the young shoots as sprouts in my salads. And then now this one doesn't look too great. It looks like it's got a lot of insects in it. But usually they grow in groups. And sometimes they're just lush. And again, they do cook down. So they're just like spinach. For a recipe that calls, if you get 6 cups of this, it'll cook down to about 10 ounces. So it really, really does shrink. So it's just like spinach, and it can be eaten uncooked or cooked. And some plants you have to know that you only can eat them uncooked, or some plants you can only eat cooked and uncooked, and some plants you have to eat cooked. So you really, that's another thing that you really need to know about, the method of preparation.
Blanche, does it like sun, shade, or? Lamb's
quarter seems to like sunny areas, especially where dirt has been dug up. And usually on the underside of the leaves, it's like a little whitish area, and it has arrow-shaped leaves. It's very, very common. Again, if you're in doubt about a plant, go on walks like this, or ask somebody who's a botanist or who's a gardener, because they're probably taking them, they're probably weeding these out of their garden and cursing them. So that's why a lot of times I'll just go to my neighbor who has a lot of this and I'll say, do you mind if I take some lamb's quarters? Oh no, I want to get them out. I want to weed them out. So.
And it grows all summer?
It grows all summer. And then in the late summer to fall, it has thousands and thousands of seeds.
Yeah.
And in fact, they found the seeds in Pharaoh's tombs and planted them, and they came up. So this is a hardy plant. It's here to stay. If it's that hardy, and if it's has such a sense of survival, we should be able to try to use it too.
Do you use the seeds?
I use the seeds. They're very small. Yeah. They're like poppy seeds. I just sprinkle them on my salads. It's too much trouble to grind them, but I bet you could make bread if you had the patience to do that. You could probably make a bread from them. I just haven't done it yet. At some point, maybe I will. But anyway, so lamb's quarters, it's just a great vegetable, and the nice thing about it is that it doesn't really resemble any plants that are poisonous. So it's one of the easiest wild edibles to identify. So that's always good when you're starting out.